Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks again for joining me today. So we are on to week 4 of the Finishing the Unfinished challenge, and that's the last week that you have to, it's the last week that you have to participate. I have another video going out next Monday as part of the challenge, but that's just because there were 5 Mondays in the month. But this is the last sort of week that most people will be participating. But the threads will be open in the Facebook group until I think it's the 5th of February. So, you know, there's plenty of time still to pop your photos and videos in the group. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a challenge that we're running this month for the Tatty Treasure and Friends Facebook group. It's called Finishing the Unfinished, and it's all about us finishing up our part-started projects, finally getting on top of our to-finish piles and all of that sort of stuff. I have done videos, plenty of them, explaining about the challenge. There is more in the group if you would like to check that out as well. So what am I going to be working on this week, or at least in today's video? So as you can see, you have caught me in the middle of planning my next journal cover. So I will talk to you about this in a second. What we're looking at. So this is my unfinished item. Now, some of you, for those of you who caught my videos for the Shades of Winter journal, which is still ongoing but is nearly finished, you would have seen me make this. It's basically a piece of sparkly felt that I've wrapped in lace and added some lace down the middle as well. And that's because I wanted to hide the fact that it's 2 separate pieces of lace just there. And it's getting caught to my nails. Anywho, I was going to use this as the inside cover for my Shades of Winter journal. But when I had the 2 pieces together, and again, this is that's the Shades of Winter journal. When I had the 2 pieces together, this was, it was padding out the journal too much, so it wasn't going to be appropriate for sewing. And on top of that, I was looking at this and I just thought, isn't that so pretty? It's got the felt. You'll have to see the video, but the felt is quite sparkly. I'm not sure you're going to see that in the flesh. And I toned it down with the lace, and then of course all I could think was, how beautiful is that, and how, you know, that should be a cover in itself. So that is my job for today, is to think about turning this into a usable cover. I have got a kit already. It's called the Winter Rose kit, and I'm so sorry, the name escapes me of who I've bought it from, but all of the information about the kit will be linked below, and I will show you a sneak peek of it afterwards. But for now, I want to focus on the cover. So this journal, it's going to be a pink winter journal, which is not at all what I had planned or anything, but looking at this, because of the frosted sparkliness underneath the lace, it said to me winter. And I didn't want to do another blue journal because, you know, I like to change it up as much as I can. And when I showed this to my husband, he said to me, well, that would make a good wedding journal. And I had, believe it or not, I had planned to do a wedding journal one day. And I just kind of sort of thought of putting the 2 themes together, really. So it's going to be a pink winter wedding journal, but the wedding theme is going to be very toned down. I don't want it to be in your face, because, you know, not everyone is going to want a winter journal for planning a wedding. You know, partly that. So the wedding part of it is just going to be pieces of ephemera that can be pulled out. The main focus of it is the pink winter. And of course, because the kit is called Winter Rose, I found this vintage brooch in my stash. I have a feeling this came from my stepmom. And I mean, if I'm going to use this for anything, how perfect is that for Winter Rose? Because that is actually a rose, or at least what looks to be a rose, I think. I might be making that up, but to me it looks like a rose. And it's, you know, with the pearl and the frosted silver, I mean, that just says winter, winter rose completely to me. So I'd like this to be an accompaniment to the journal. I don't think it goes on the journal because it is quite bulky, but I would like it to be an accompaniment. So if somebody does use this journal for a wedding type of theme, I mean, this could always be there, something old perhaps. That's kind of just like a little bit of a I don't know, a path into the way my brain works. So that's that. So what are we going to do with this cover? So you might have noticed at the beginning of the video, I had this laid out just like this. And let me just pop this down so I can show you what I'm thinking. Now this is very much a planning type video. I am going to be stitching things, but it's me layering things up and just basically, you know, working with it. It's not a tutorial, it really is I'm just going with what I think we should do, or I should do. So I'd quite like to have this pink piece. Both of these came from my husband's great aunt. She makes clothes for porcelain dolls. So I suppose you can see where these would fit in with that. But anyway, she sent me a bunch of vintage and antique laces and trims. Some of them came from her great-great-grandma, or my husband's great-great-grandma. I did a whole video on it because she sent me some incredible pieces. Anyway, I want to start using some of them, but I wanted to save them up for something really special, and I think this could be it. Not for everything, but just for some of them. Anyway, so I've got this pink piece, which I would quite like to have as a pocket on the front of the journal. I've got this piece, because of the florals and the white, I kind of just want this to be a decorative piece on the front. I have this either vintage or antique wedding postcard. It's got a bit of pink fluff on it. It doesn't have a date on it, but it says, "Dear Anne, I send you this little message wishing you every happiness from your loving cousin Jim." And wouldn't that be so nice if this was in the cover, in the pocket? And then we could also bring in more of the pink by popping in a journal card that comes from the kit, or I'll be making it from the kit because the kit didn't have too much ephemera. It's mainly I bought it for the pages. I will show you that later. So that's what I'm thinking, kind of. And then of course I want to start layering up pearls and beads and things. I've got these iridescent gems. I've always wanted to do a pocket on the front of a journal because I just love the idea of being able to take out what's inside, using it or admiring it, and then if you get bored of that, you could literally just change it up and put something else in there, and it would change the vibe of the journal completely. That's kind of, yeah, I've always wanted to do a pocket on a journal, and I'm now doing it, so isn't this exciting? Anyway, I've got these iridescent crystal type gem things. These came from a haul from BB Craft, which I will show you the full lot in a separate video, but I was just itching to give these a go because they would actually be perfect, I think, for just dotted around every so often, you know, in these little flowers maybe. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but I'm getting ahead of myself really, but I just wanted to give you a clue as to how this one's going to go. So it's going to be very sort of shabby chic-esque, very pink and very pretty. So because I've never done a cover like this before, I have no idea where to start. I think my first job will be to stitch this piece onto the pink pocket piece, exactly where I want it to be. Now I don't want to, so I'll just show you. I don't want the stitching to be completely obvious because I don't want to detract from all of the embroidery and everything. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this flower up and I'm going to do some stitching around the middle just here, so that when that flaps down, I will glue that down, and then you would never know the stitching is there, and that will keep that piece nicely onto the pink part. And then I think what I'll do is I'll do just like little bits of stitching here and there with my machine, just to, I don't mind this being a little bit flappy, like I kind of like that this is sort of hanging out and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want it to be, you know, I want it to be securely on there, especially if you're going to be pulling things in and out of a pocket, carting it around and using it and admiring it, touching it, all of that sort of stuff. It needs to be securely on there. So I think that's what I'm going to do first. So as I say, I'm going to have this about here. So I'm going to go off and do some stitching. This will be a very like stop-start type video because I personally use my sewing machine for covers just because I just trust it a little bit more than glue. That's just my personal preference though. So when I come back, this will be stitched onto the pink piece, and then we'll be ready to, I think, just stitch the pocket straight onto the cover. And I'm thinking I will, I'm not going to have this whole pink bit. I'm going to cut it in half. But then I want the edge of the pink piece to be underneath this lace in the middle, so you can't see that it just suddenly ends. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So if you imagine, it will be like that then. And then it just kind of, yeah, looks very layered, doesn't it? Kind of like that. It's going to be a very pretty journal. Okay, right. I'm going to hit pause. I'll be back for you 2 seconds. For me, a few minutes because I need to stitch this together. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so this flower piece is now nicely stitched on here. I haven't stitched it to death because I still want it to be a little bit, what's the word? A little bit, not floppy, but like I don't mind that this kind of movement. I want it to have a little bit of movement here and there, like, so I don't want it to be completely, you know, stiff. So I've just done, you know, stitching just in places, and you can barely see it, so try to keep that like that. So now I have to have a think about cutting this pink piece down. I could have probably done with stitching that a little bit over, but that's okay. So say we're going to be like this on the journal. So if I'm just going to slip this under there just so I can see. There we go. I want that over the white lace. I just want to sort of see how it's going to come together really, because my next job is to think about stitching the pocket onto the front. Now ideally I could have done with this being over there. I think I've stitched that slightly in the wrong place, not quite where I wanted it, but I'm not going to faff too much, unless if I pull this a little bit, would that come over a bit more? It's just trial and error, isn't it? It's working out where to put the pocket. I think that's a bit better. Yeah, I think that will be okay. Yeah, as I say, not quite where I wanted it. I did want this flower more like there, so I'm just gonna see. I could always put in another flower, just to help my brain ignore that, but I'll come back to that later. It's not essential for now. So I want to cut the pink piece because I don't want it going the whole way across. I don't think, and I don't think it fits anyway actually, especially once the journal chunks up. So yes, I am going to cut the pink piece, and then I've got, you know, a piece for another journal another time. So I want to cut it somewhere here. So if we go for it here. Oh, the concentration. There we go. All right. And then I want this piece at the top folded over. And then I want this piece underneath this lace. So it's going to be very tricky to sew it because I'm going to sew it straight onto the felt. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but it is what it is. I'm just going to have to take my time with it and just maneuver the laces and things in the right place. Oops. So not a job to be rushed, but that's all right. So if we had you there, we do want you over a little bit. Can we do that? think we'll manage it. I think I'm just going to have to really play with it at the sewing machine. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that I can do. But basically what I'm going to do, very carefully, is stitch the pocket onto the front. So I'm going to stitch it on 3 sides, but obviously I want to stitch, I mean, I suppose I could go through this lace, because I have a feeling I'm probably going to cover that up anyway, because I don't want the binding exposed. So I'm probably going to have another layer of lace down the spine. So I wonder whether to help myself with less faffing, I might just stitch simply down here, and down here, but obviously stitch the pocket on straight. And I'm going to go straight through the felt for that. And I want this piece folded over. So I'm just going to have to play around with it at the sewing machine, which I'll go do now. And then we'll come back and we'll start with the next part, which will be starting to pull this together in a layer type form. So once again, I'll be back in 2 seconds for you. Okay, so I've got the pocket stitched onto the front now. It's nicely, completely on there. I just did a zigzag stitch all the way round. So it might be easiest to show you on this side. I use light colour thread, so you might not be able to see very much, but yeah, I've basically stitched it like so. And I tried to be very careful of stitching on this side. This is obviously where the spine is going to be. I've stitched slightly to the left of the spine so that it doesn't affect how the cover folds. That's what I did there. Whilst I was at the sewing machine, I thought I would also just stitch this lace piece onto the cover, so that's nicely on there now. So I've run stitching down this side and stitching down this side. You can just see those indentations. Again, avoiding where the actual spine would be for binding. So that's what I did there. And then I felt like this flower was a little bit too floppy. Flappy floppy. So I just did some little extra bits of stitching here, there, and down here, I think. Just because I don't mind it having a little bit of flappy movement, but I didn't want it to be that you could like peel it right back. I wanted it to be, you know, securely, especially being a pocket. So that's where we're at with that. And I've just been, I'll show you the kit in a minute, but I've basically been playing around with trying to decide what I'm going to have in the middle. So I thought the next step was going to be to start putting the gems on, but then of course I thought, well, no, there's no point doing that whilst I'm still working on it. I feel like that will be very much last thing to do. Yeah, I just sort of don't want to go to that point yet. So the next step was to decide what I was going to have in the middle. Now I thought I was going to have scrapbook paper. I really did. But I went to go get the kit and decide what was going to be my first page, and I think it will be this one. So this is the Winter Rose title page, essentially. Obviously everything needs cutting down. So that will be like that. But when I was matching up the scrapbook papers, they just didn't seem to really go. So what I think I'm going to do instead is use this beautiful upholstery fabric. Sorry, I'm just getting stuff everywhere. So I'm going to have it, and I'm going to have it on this side. So this side is more of a silky gold colour, which I prefer for looks, but I prefer this colourway for this journal, because you've got the flecks of gold, but then in between you've got the, it's like a pinky blush colour, and that is just now begging for a nice big pocket, you know, a nice tall all the way down type of one with lots of different pockets and spaces and stuff inside, and then that will be that will help give the cover a little bit more structure. The felt is nice and thick and slightly structured, but without the cardstock inside, you know, just with this fabric, I do think it would need a little bit of help. So that's where a nice big pocket would come in, and then this would be the back and a nice big pocket there as well. So that's kind of where I'm at with where I'm going to go with it. But to be honest, I don't have any more time today because it's coming up to lunchtime and you know, the light's going to start affecting it and stuff. So I think I'm going to have to leave it there for this video. But I will show you the kit now. And remember, I was going to have this definitely in the front. And I do want to have some corners, and then of course once I get to the very last stages of the finishing touches of the journal, I'll start putting on some nice beads and pretty things on the front. So that's that. Oh, a closure. That was another thing that I was deciding. Again, I thought I was going to have some vintage antique lace, but I've decided to actually go with this organza. I think it's on organza. But I was playing around with it and I just sort of tied it in a bow. This is just a nice big strip, so let me just show you. I love making journal covers. I've probably said before, but I think journal covers is one of my favourite things to do. I just love the choices you get to make about how you're going to do different aspects of it and stuff. So yeah, imagine this as being a nice big bow, and then I want this to fan out a bit. Probably I'm showing you too much detail now, but I like talking about this stuff. I like being able to show you where I'm going with things, really. So if I were to fan this out a bit, like that. I don't think I've done that bow quite right, but you get the idea. Yeah, basically have this great big fancy bow on the front, and this makes me think of veil, you know, a bridal veil. And again, even if the person doesn't want it as a wedding type journal, if say they're going to take all this out, it would still be a really pretty pink shabby chic type of journal. That's where I'm at. So I thought I would show you all that because I don't know how much of this journal I'll do on camera. So you know, if you want to see lots of aspects of the different things, do let me know. I'll probably just, what I'm thinking about doing is doing, I'll tell you what, whilst I'm talking, I'll show you a quick flip through of the kit that I'll be using. Again, I'll be mixing it in with other pages and stuff as well. So this kit comes from Sweet Vintage Prints. I will link it below for you. So I'll just flip through, and it's the Winter Rose kit. And before I'll just explain. There were a few images like this one and this one, which made me think of wedding, and I just thought, you know, it all kind of came together really. So yeah, I'll just give you a quick flip through of the kit. I haven't got everything printed out. I haven't backed them. I think I was having problems with my printer at the time, so there is still more for me to print out. But there's, yeah, really beautiful pages. And now it didn't come with very much ephemera, it was mainly just the pages, but it did come with these mini versions, so you can make like a little portable notebook, which I will do. 2 seconds. Husband checking what I wanted for lunch. I went for a hot dog baguette. Yeah, anyway, the kit also comes with some backing sheets, which I seem to have misplaced. Ah, here they are. These ones, and also a like goldy kind of colour. Again, I'm probably showing you too much information, but you know, you might be interested in seeing what I'm working with. This was another page. This for me was a misprint. I printed it onto recyclable paper, but I'm still probably going to use it in something. And then this was another page. Again, I accidentally printed it onto card, but then I was thinking, you know, they could make really nice journal cards. So that was another page. And then the kit did come with some pockets. Just, you know, some simple pockets, but this print is really lovely. I'll probably use these as journal cards or journal card bases. And then you've just got some like diagonal type pockets, like so. which again, you know, I'll put gussets in them because I have a feeling they're too wide for the size journal that I've got anyway. So yeah, that's the kit that I'm working with. And yeah, I think that, yeah, I can't remember what it was I was going to tell you whilst flipping through that now. I got distracted by the pretty pinks. But yeah, I suppose that's really where I'm at. So it's not a finished project, but that's okay. It's one step closer to being a finished thing. Oh, that's what I think I was going to tell you about. I was going to say about yeah, I really suck at multitasking. So I think I was going to explain how much I'm going to do on camera for this. So the next time you see it, it will definitely be this side completed and a journal bound in. And then I was thinking I might just do some ephemera on screen with you, like when it comes to doing these nice big pockets in the front and back. I might do that with you. And then, you know, small things like that, maybe some embellishments. Remember, I'm talking about some wax seals soon. I just gave it a go. You'll see the video for this soon. So yeah, there's a few things that I'd like to do with these kind of thing. And yeah, we need to finish the cover. So yeah, I'll do some of it on screen. Probably not as much as I did of the White Winter Journal, but this one won't be as heavily embellished anyway. I really want to do, you know, the pages are so nice. I want those to do the talking more than anything. And then yeah, we'll just start building up. But that is a huge amount of waffle. I am so sorry. I don't know when to shut up. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So yeah, I didn't get as much done as I hoped, but that's okay. We're starting to become something, and I really hope that you think it's going to look beautiful when it's you know, when it's finished. Right, that's it. That's it from me this week. Well, for this video. I'll be back in a few days for the next one. Whatever that may be, we shall find out. Alright, thanks so much. Remember about the challenge. So in the group, in the Facebook group, if you are taking part, there will now be, once this video goes up, there'll be 4 threads for you to post your photos and videos on. 1 for each thread so that you can be in the prize draw. Aside from that, I just really hope that everyone's been enjoying finishing up projects. I've heard from a few of the ladies taking part that it's given them that sort of, that nudge or that little, like, you know, kick up the bum, I suppose, to get on and do it. It's sort of given them, I'm not going to call it a deadline because that adds stress to things, but it's sort of that feeling of like, well, you know, you weren't doing it before because you weren't on any kind of like time scale, and it was like, oh, I'll get to it one day. I'll get to it one day. That's certainly how I felt. But having this challenge just meant that we just, yeah, had that little bit of a shove to say, well, now, you know, do it for next week. Do it for the end of the month. Get it done in January, you know, that type of thing. So, yeah, I do hope people have been enjoying it. I certainly have. As I say, it's given me the nudge that I needed as well. All right, I think I need to go get a drink now because my throat's run a bit dry. So that's how you know you've done a lot of talking today. All right then, so I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much. Bye bye for now.